Today's video is going to be a really long one, so feel free to grab a cup of tea or hot chocolate and join me as I will be telling you my story. I have my Christmas throw and my cup of apple and cinnamon tea, and I will be making myself cozy during this really personal video. It's the 3rd of December, which means that exactly 3 years ago I landed for the first time in London at around 6:30 a.m. It was still dark and it was raining a bit, and as we were getting off the plane, Alex squeezed my hand and said, "Welcome to London, baby." Today I decided to talk to you about our first Christmas in England. I'll start with the story of two crazy kids that decided to leave their own country in search of a better life. Alex and I started talking about moving to England during the first week we started dating. He has been to the UK a couple of times before for like periods of 6 months, and he loved it here. He was always talking about Stonehenge and the British Museum and the parks, the squirrels, everything, and I always felt like I was listening to a fairy tale about some far-off place. We kept making plans throughout the summer, but the moment was never right until one day. Something just snapped and Alex was like, "Let's do it. If it doesn't work out, we'll come back and try again next year." And I was up for it. The next day we bought a couple of plane tickets and started planning our journey. We didn't have much money, so we decided to pay for just one suitcase and put all of our clothes in it and into the 2 small bags that we were allowed to carry. So we only took the essentials. I put my big furry coat on. Good thing it was actually cold because it wouldn't have fit into my suitcase. And on that cold morning of 3rd of December, we said goodbye to everyone and went on an adventure together. I wasn't even scared, if you know what I mean. We landed in London at 6:30 a.m. and it was still dark. We had only one thing on our mind today: to find a place to live, because we were in another country and kind of homeless. I didn't know about sites like Airbnb back then, so I didn't even think about renting a place for a couple of days until we find something. Now that I think about it, it was a total madness, so we started calling people that we found on the internet that were letting rooms. If you're not familiar with the English ways of living, the cheapest alternative around here is a room in a shared house where you need to share all the common areas like kitchen and bathrooms with all the other people that live in the house. I know it sounds kind of weird, and I had never seen such way of living before, but that way rent can be fairly cheap. Most of the rooms were already taken, so we started to lose hope. I emailed the lady about a room, and an agency, while we were still home, agency answered that they had lots of free rooms, and I was waiting for the lady's answer. Unfortunately, my phone's battery was dying way too quickly those past couple of weeks, so it died again, and I needed a socket. We found a supermarket, and I stole some electricity from the sockets that they used for their vacuum cleaners. Of course, we got scolded, but at least I was able to check my email and tell her that we've just landed. As we were in a supermarket, we decided to get something to eat. Alex gave me a £2 coin and said, "Go get some donuts and I'll stay here with the bags." And I was like completely terrified. The store was huge and I had never used my English in a real face-to-face conversation with a native English speaker before. Well, we did have an American teacher when I was in high school, but it is not the same. I got into the shop and I felt completely lost. I found a lady and asked her something like, "Where can I find a donut?" And she took me there, showed me all the flavors as she saw that I was terrified, and asked me if I was alright. I took some sugaring donuts, paid for them, and get the hell out of the store because right now my anxiety was killing me. I was able to eat only one donut, even though we hadn't eaten anything all day, but I was way too worried. Finally, this guy called us back. He said that his room was still available, and we went to the address and we called him. It turned out that the address on the site wasn't right, so we had to walk like a mile to get to where the house actually was. Anyway, we met him, we saw the room. It was a pretty big room, but there was a dirty carpet on the floor and just a mattress in one of the corners. He said he would bring more furniture once we moved in. We went downstairs and the kitchen was just awful. Cigarette butts everywhere, clothes on every single chair, and dirty dishes piling up on every available flat surface. Well, He saw the bags and he assumed that we didn't have a place to stay, so he asked for an outrageous deposit and started to haggle on the rent. Alex and I exchanged a brief look and we were like, goodbye, and we left. As I said, I had emailed that lady and we also had the agency that answered us like a week before we actually landed in England, so this wasn't our only option. Trouble was that it was getting late. Well, not late, but dark. During the winter it gets dark in England, like around 4 p.m. or even earlier. The day was somber in the first place and I was getting anxious. We were walking around those pubs where people were laughing and playing darts inside, pubs where on the door said families are welcome, and I felt so desperate at this moment. We needed a place to spend the night and we started to look for a room in a bed and breakfast. The price for one night was the same as the price of the weekly rent in one of those rooms we were looking at earlier. However, we didn't have any other choice. We were so tired and we needed a good night's sleep before started hunting again. We found this cute little hotel that reminded me so much of Fawlty Towers. I don't know if you have watched the British series with John Cleese from Monty Python. He plays Mr. Fawlty and I personally find it quite funny. Anyway, the room was very cozy and cute. I was fascinated by their small showers and the little rope that they use in England to turn on the bathroom light. In the meantime, my mom called and she was so worried. I told her that we were at this bed and breakfast and that we were really tired and that everything was fine. I didn't want her to know how anxious I actually was. I woke up at like 7 a.m. As I said, it was a bed and breakfast kind of hotel, so we went downstairs to have some English breakfast. I remember I sat at the table next to the window. It was cold and rainy outside. I didn't feel lucky at all, and I knew that we wouldn't be able to live much longer like this, paying for hotel rooms every night. Things got brighter when they brought us a big plate of English breakfast. I still can't get used to beans and mushrooms for breakfast, but to be honest, it was a really nice meal and I was really hungry. I had like only that one donut the previous day because I was way too worried and I couldn't possibly eat. Anyway, they had Wi-Fi in the hotel and I checked my email. The lady had answered. She wanted to meet at her house after work, which was good. However, we decided to go and check that agency that answered our email, so we looked at the address, left our suitcase at the hotel because they didn't mind keeping it for us at the reception, and we walked to the agency. I said to the guy, I wrote you an email that we were coming to live here and you said you had lots of rooms. And he said, you know guys, I have something just for you. It's a studio apartment. The girl that lived there for 2 years just moved out and I haven't even put it on the market yet. So I was really excited. We got into his car and he drove us to this apartment. It was like the perfect place. It was quite spacious. There was a bed, a dresser, a wardrobe, a little kitchen corner, and he said he was going to bring us some more stuff. The biggest bonus was that there was a private bathroom. And I was like, this is it, I love it. And the rent was kind of affordable. He showed us some other rooms as well, but this apartment pretty much won me on the fact that I would have had my own bathroom. He brought us back to the agency, we signed a contract, he gave us the keys, and we just had to fetch our suitcase from the hotel. However, we decided to go and take a look at that lady's room that emailed me in the morning, as I had promised we'll go, and we were curious anyway. The house was nice, the location not so much. Also shared bathroom, of course, that was pretty clean. It's like only 3 people were living in the house, but the room was so small. There was a bed, a desk and a dresser and just a tiny little space between the furniture where you could hardly do anything. I mean, I tried to sit on the bed and I hit my knees into the dresser, so I wasn't regretting our decision at all. We told her that we were going to think about it and that we were going to call her to let her know. We got our suitcase and we went home. I was so happy. It was early even though it was already dark, and we went to the local shop. My mom had put some salami in my bag, so we had something to eat, but we wanted something else as well. We bought some bread and some mayonnaise and some cherry cola because Alex had never tried it before. It is actually pretty hard to find in my country because it is not that popular. Only certain shops sell it and it comes only in cans. It was like the best dinner ever. I wasn't feeling very good after those couple of days though, so I got sick, and during that time Alex was taking care of me. He was making me tea and soup and took care of everything else, like cleaning the entire apartment. He was an angel. we had to take care of some documents first so we could start working. So at the time, we didn't have anything to do. We were exploring the city, like revealing the map as on an open world game. However, some days it was really cold, so we stayed home, and I remember I was sitting on that love seat couch under a blanket with a big cup of tea, reading Harry Potter for the first time in my life. Don't laugh. It was kind of amazing. And then all of a sudden it was Christmas. We were kind of broke, we didn't get a Christmas tree, we didn't have any decorations, we didn't have a fancy Christmas dinner, and I couldn't get into the Christmas spirit at all. We worked during the days between Christmas and New Year's Eve, and it was so exhausting, to be honest. In the beginning of January, we went out and we walked into this charity shop and we bought some books and a Christmas puzzle. We spent like £5, which might not sound like a lot, but at the moment £5 were a lot for us, and there was nothing better than some late Christmas presents. It sounds a bit sad as I'm telling the story. It actually was the happiest moment of my life because I was finally following my dreams, and that was a good thing. Unfortunately, very often money does not equal happiness, and the fact that you're broke at the moment doesn't mean that life is over. Our next Christmas was a bit more Christmassy, but I had just started working at that office and Alex got this temporary job as a design engineer, and I mean, we were like broke till last week. So again, we didn't buy a tree or any decorations. We bought some more Christmas puzzles and some games, and that was totally enough. I wanted a little desk so I could make a little corner and start making YouTube videos. I didn't start right away as I was completely terrified to be in front of the camera, but we bought the cutest little desk for £5 again, and that was the most wonderful Christmas present I could get. And I'm still using that little desk actually. As you can see, Christmas might be a really nice and warm holiday, and it is not about the presents, it is about being with people you love, being together no matter what. Last year we finally bought a Christmas tree for the first time, our families flew in for the holidays, and it was kind of really Christmassy for once. Also, I got start a YouTube channel on my New Year's resolution list, and I was able to keep up with it, which makes me really happy and a little bit proud because I was actually able to be fairly consistent throughout this time. I really hope you enjoyed this storytime video. It really wasn't easy for me to share it, but I really hope I was able to inspire you to follow your dreams and to believe in those little Christmas miracles. Please like this video and feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section below. I'll be more than happy to answer. Also, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss any of my Vlogmas videos. Follow me on Twitter for everything that I'm not able to include here. And I'll see you tomorrow with more Christmas magic. Bye!